Hey, this is Ish, and today I want to talk to you about shapeshifting. So, no, I don't actually mean transforming into a werewolf, but rather using the ability to take on a new perspective by putting yourself in the shoes of whatever the object that you're meditating upon. So, this practice has been around for many different centuries. So, Native Americans would do this to take on the qualities of certain animals. And also in contemplative practices like Buddhism, especially in the Vajrayana tradition, they would meditate upon different deities and gods to take on the qualities of that specific deity. And you can see this in object meditation. So, for example, if you stare at a tree and you just meditate upon the tree, you will take on its qualities, such as being very sturdy and grounded. So, likewise, you can do that to take on different qualities of different people or objects or different figures around you. And it's very fun to actually experiment and actually take on different identities and try out new things. And I think nowadays people get very fixed in their identities and their realities. So they'll say to themselves, like, I'm this kind of person, I would never do this. And while the whole goal of spirituality is to actually reduce the hold of these identities and make them a bit more fluid, it's actually pretty fun just to experiment. So you're coming from a place of exploration over being very like rigid in your identity. So you're reducing the attachment, but you still have fun by trying out new things. So in my life, I've gone through a lot of different immersion periods where I go through different phases to really understand a certain perspective. So I'll give you an example. So a couple of years ago, when I first discovered yoga, all about yoga, and I started practicing, I went the full yogi route. So I grew my hair out to my shoulders. I wore like those drug rugs and like rubbed like essential oil incense on myself instead of cologne. So I just went like that full hippie route. So if you think of like a hippie new age person, that would be me back in the day. And what this did was I completely immersed myself in that reality and I excluded everything else that wasn't pertinent to that. And as a result, I had, like the law of attraction, I had filtered out a certain reality and that was reflected back to me. And what also happened is that I attracted people who were into that as well. So a lot of my friends would be hippies at the time or more like free thinkers and more go with the flow. And at the same time, just by changing my appearance and my outlook and my demeanor, I was also able to attract those kind of people, but then also I repelled a whole subset of people as well. They would just like look at me and be like, oh, I don't want to associate with that. So I think it's actually kind of helpful because you're playing a role like an actor where you can attract a certain reality that you want and you can completely focus in on it, and it's pretty fun. And the main lessons I learned in going through that phase was that I was able to let loose a bit, be more free. If you can watch my videos from back then, I was more free in my expressions and how I conducted myself, and that was a really nice lesson. And I went really deep into yoga back then. And then a couple years later, I had cut my hair. I had more of like a stubble, and I wore more dress clothes when I started my 9-to-5 job. So when I first started working in different corporate jobs, I took on more of a conservative outlook and image. More clean cut is the right word. And the lessons I learned from that was more on fitting in with society. So that phase of my life when I was living in Arizona was all about getting along with everyone and understanding what people in society would like, what kind of bars do they go to, what kind of music do they like, and I was becoming more relatable to everyone. So I had this whole like hippie phase where I was just like, what am I doing? And then now I had this other phase where I was able to connect with other people and a lot of people as well. So that was my lesson. And then now you might have noticed that my hair is now migrated down to my face and I have a full beard now and I'm a little bit bald. So this is completely the opposite of the whole yogi look. So back when I was exploring the whole like yogi persona and image, I was really cultivating like my whole like feminine energy, all about flow and being very expressive. But I was also very undirected in life, and that had some consequences as well. So now I'm going through this like fun experimentation phase where I'm like growing a big beard and exploring like the masculine energy side, which has to do with being very focused on your purpose. So you might have noticed that I've created more talks recently at this year compared to other years. And I'm focusing on, writing books, and I'm focusing on my mission in life. And then the second quality that goes along with that is also being in a place of leadership. So I started teaching more yoga classes. And one thing that we associate with this type of energy is also being very grounded, right? Being very firm. So you can think of it like a tree where the roots are like the grounded masculine energy, and then the branches that flow with the wind are all the feminine. So a lot of people have just naturally come up to me and said, "You seem very calm," or "You seem very more like relaxed or grounded." And that's because unconsciously I didn't tell anyone I was doing any of this, but just because I've been taking on these certain practices like say Zen meditation a bit more this year, I've gotten more of that grounded effect. So that's interesting because now I'm attracting a whole different set of people, right? So you'll notice that just by changing the focus, your focus on your interests or how you change your appearance, you can tap into different realities. And it's very interesting to just play. And the main key word here is just like play. You want to keep this really fun and not actually be like, okay, I'm a bearded guy or I have my hair long. Like it's more of a fluid thing where you can experiment with the reality, but once you're in reality, like try to focus in on it and see what new perspectives you can learn. How can you expand yourself? Because the moment you tap into a certain reality, you close others off, but then you also attract the same kind of energy within that reality as well. So you can experiment and play around. And it's also a reminder not to take life so seriously and so rigid, because people are just like, they are unable to change, and they take their life so seriously that they're very rigid. And this whole practice of taking on identities is fun, like being like an actor, but you also get a lot of cool perspectives and insights as well. So try something new this weekend, try a new like appearance, like new wardrobe change, or try a sport or a class that you've never done before, and tap into new reality and get started. Hope this helps.